Hello and welcome to The Chat, the official podcast of Chatham County Government. My name is Will Peebles with the Public Information Office, and today I have the distinct pleasure to be joined by Miss Amy Davis and Miss Estelle Brown from the Finance Department. Guys, how you doing? It's budget season.
Yes, it is, and it's almost over. Yay!
Where are you guys at right now? Because I know it's quite the process for the Finance Department. Y'all have been going through a lot. Where's your mind at? How do you feel about the budget?
Well, we feel good about the budget. We have, of course, it goes to the commission on the 27th for final approval, but it starts way back in October of 2024.
So y'all start planning a long time out.
Yes, we do. There's three main components to the budget. You have your personnel, you have your operations, and then you have your capital. And so it starts out with approval of a budget calendar for each of these processes. So in October, we take to the board a preliminary calendar, how we think this is going to go out, including requirements for all of the advertisements in the paper and meetings and workshops and all of these things. So would you like to add something there?
So what we have to do, we have to wait for the commissioners to approve their calendar so that we can get the correct dates for like the millage hearing and budget adoption and those type of things, because they're done on, some of them are done on commission meeting day.
Right, like on the Friday during the commission meeting and everything, yeah.
And coordinating calendars for elected officials is a feat in and of itself.
They're busy folks, they keep a packed schedule. So I don't know, just to kind of give folks at home a framework, when we're talking about the budget, we're talking about fiscal year 2025, which goes into 2026. It starts July 1 and it goes to June 30th of 2026. And the responsibility that you guys have is to lay out all of the county spending priorities for all the departments, all the initiatives, all the programs, all the grants, everything, pretty much any money that comes from or through the county goes through you guys, and it goes through this budget process. And I don't know, when I'm explaining it to people, I like to tell them it's a lot like your own personal budget. You have a certain amount of money that you're expected to get in the coming year, and you have a certain amount of expenses that you have to pay in order to do to meet your goals for the next year.
Well, the difference between a county budget and a personal budget is that we are required to follow it.
A personal budget, you're a little flexible there, but the county budget is...
it is a legally binding document that, the commission is appropriating the funds for specific purposes. And if you use them for any other purpose, you have to take it back to the commission for their permission. So it's, and it's a lot bigger than most personal budgets.
It's bigger than mine.
Mine too. Do you want to add anything there?
Yeah, it's a spending plan, but by law, we are required to stick to that plan that the board approved.
Right.
And like Amy said, if you want to veer from that plan, then you have to go get approval from the board to do that. And we just want the departments to understand the importance of submitting it on time and to, so that the board, we can present to the board what their plan, because their budget, that's their plan.
Right, yeah.
And so they need to communicate their plan to the board for the board's opinion.
And it's important for them to think through their budgets as well, because once it's set, like I said, the only way to change it is to take it back to the commission. And nobody really wants to go back to the commission to make changes because they should have thought it through.
This should have been a better plan. Yeah,
that's right. So, it is a binding document, but it starts in October of the previous year. We start with the calendar, and then we start with, do you have any requests for new personnel? And so any requests for new personnel generally takes place between October and November. Okay. And then we ask, well, do you have any capital needs over and above, your regular replacement items? And so then we request the capital, requests, which is anything over $25,000 at this moment in time. And then in January, we do the kickoff for the operating budget, which is about 70% of the budget is personnel expenses.
Right.
And so it's the personnel, it's the supplies, and, smaller equipment, that kind of thing. And so that's the bulk of the budget process focuses on that. And we spend pretty much between January and March just looking at everyone's operating budget. And this is where you would have all of your contract items. It would be like I said, your supplies, your personnel. If you requested personnel in October, you still need to add them in your request on the operations side. So it is that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, that's what makes the county run. It's like if there's not people here and the people aren't being compensated fairly, then, they're not going to stay here. So, I get that. So, when you guys are coming up on it, online, there is a huge document that we call it the budget book. That's not the official name, I don't think. Is it the official name?
It's a book.
Yeah, it is a book. It's over 100 pages long, and we will have it in the description of this video wherever we post it, because it's very transparent. Anyone can go and look at it and see exactly where the money is coming from, and how it's being allocated over the course of the year. How long does that part take? That's the part that always impresses me, because it's written, there's explanations of it. The county manager has his budget message in there. It's very extensive.
Yeah. Would you like to take this one?
Well, that whole process begins in October too, because that's when we're gathering the information that we're going to put into that document. So it goes throughout the whole process. Then once it's adopted, we have to go back and really put that document together. But
so it's also a policy document because it has the county policy in there. It has each department's strategic plan and their goals and objectives. So the numbers portion of it are actually a pretty small part of it.
Right.
You also have your org charts, and a lot of these are broken down by departments. And then at the very back of the book, you have all of the pay scales and all of that we, the current personnel pay scales, and what else is back there?
Pay scales back there, the personnel count back there in the back of that book, and then there's the glossary of terms to help people understand.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Because it is a lot of information to take in. But right up at the front, you have some pretty handy charts and stuff that show where the money is coming from. And the big one that people know about is property taxes, because everybody pays their property taxes. But that's not the only source of income for the county.
It's the primary source of income. But we do have, we have taxes, then we have fines and forfeitures, which are from the courts primarily, charges for services such as recreation fees, animal fees, what other fees do we have? Rental fees, those kinds of things. Investment income, we've been fortunate in the last few years that's been a pretty major source. And what else? So intergovernmental income, grants, and things like that.
For sure, yeah. And I don't know. I think the most important part of it to me is transparency, because we're showing people, there's no secrets here about where the residents of Chatham County's money is going. And this year, a lot of it is going to the new fire department. That was a big change over last year's budget. Previously, the fire department was funded by the fire fee, whereas now the special service district, which is the area of Chatham County that is not within any city, unincorporated Chatham, they are now paying for the fire department essentially through a tax.
Yes, we did propose. It hasn't been adopted yet.
Sure.
But we have proposed 2 mills for the fire department, which does not cover the full cost of the fire department. So the unincorporated area is absorbing some of that cost. And we're looking at this as a trial run this year, I guess, because I think eventually we want to get it out of the SSD and have it as its own separate fund. But because of state legislation, we have had a lot of hiccups this year with our digest. And so we felt like this was probably the most efficient way to fund it this year.
Gotcha.
And I would like to also mention that we did charge the fire fee in 2022 and 2023. We did not charge a fire fee in 2024. We basically absorbed those costs, $15 million in costs through the SSD taxes. And so basically everyone kind of got a break last year. This year, it is a significant increase for SSD. I mean, their millage was 4.502. This year, it's going to be 6.502. Yeah, I'm sorry. And so, I mean, it is a significant amount of tax, but we have calculated that something like 83% will be paying less by a tax than from the fee.
Whereas the fee would charge for square footage and all this, and
Right.
this is just a flat rate,
Correct.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I think most people will see a savings. There are a few people that will pay a little bit more, but the percentage of that group is very small.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I guess how much public involvement do we usually see when budget time comes around? Because we have public hearings on the budget, we have public hearings on the millage rate. All of those things are very come out and voice your opinion on it. How much public involvement do we usually get with that?
We have not really had a lot of people request involvement. Obviously, we do have the public hearings. We very rarely have many people come and speak on the budget, but they're welcome to. We advertise them for a reason.
We try to get people
Yeah.
there,
So
Here
yeah.
we are doing it again via the podcast.
But yeah, traditionally speaking, we don't have a lot of participation from the public, even though we advertise it.
Right. Yeah. What do you, for the people listening to this, what do you guys think is the most important thing to know about the budget process?
The majority of our budget is for personnel. I mean, without the people, you can't get the services, and therefore, it's important. I don't think there's any waste in our budget. We run a pretty efficient budget government here, and it's open to anyone who wants to go look at it. It's on our website, chathamcounty.org. So if you go to the finance page, you can look at our budget. It's all detailed out there. And if you still have questions on it, you can always contact us, and we're willing to offer any additional help that we have.
Yeah, for sure.
And to add to that, I think it's also important that I would think that it would be important to the public to know that how their tax dollars are being used and what services they are receiving.
Yep. And like you guys have said, we make that just as available as we can, other than walking door to door and knocking on, like, here's your tax.
More than 50% of our budget is for public safety and judicial services. So those are the big pieces right there. Our jail budget is now up to what, 70 million?
It's like 66, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, 66 million. So that's a big chunk. And then, of course, the judicial system, which includes your superior court, state court, magistrate court, all of those courtrooms require a lot of funding.
Yeah, for sure.
And now that they have more space, that's even more expensive.
Well, you can get more personnel now.
Well, they needed the space.
They did.
They needed the space.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful courthouse. I tell you what, man, it's a wonder to walk through it.
I hope I'm never there. But
Me too. Personally, me too. But yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much. If there's nothing else you'd like to say, is there any parting message you'd like to share with the listeners of our podcast?
Just that it is available online, and we hope that you go out and look at it. We put a lot of work into it.
Gotcha. and we will make sure that you guys have access to that and the link in the description of this video. And thank you so much for joining us on the chat. We'll be back again in a couple weeks with another episode. Until then, enjoy your couple weeks. And I'm Will Peoples. From all of us here at Chatham County, have a good day.